Our next guest is probably your dream dinner guest, your favourite actor, and now your favourite author too. His collection of short stories, The American No, is out now in paperback. So let's climb to the top of Mount Rupert Everett!
Yeah! Tilly, don't you go anywhere, young lady. So we were playing off the back of your good friend Julia Roberts' game, which she instigated last week on the Smartless podcast. Good morning, by the way, Rupert.
Good morning.
We were playing Dream Dinner Dates because she started. Your mate Julia started all this,
Right?
And Tilly here has you in her 7 as a dream dinner date.
You're coming.
Oh,
if that's all
really?
right, I'll make you a lovely meal.
That's lovely. When are we having it then?
Whenever you're free, Rupert.
The end of the day.
Would you like to know who else is going to be there?
Yeah, who's going to be there?
So we've got Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. We've got you, Julia Roberts. We've got my boyfriend, Jack. And we've got Bob Mortimer. And there's one more.
That's it. You don't know.
Is that done? That's
it's
7. That's
100. That is 7.
And I'm feeling good about the chemistry. I think lots of people with lots of things in common, but
What do you
enough
think?
different.
How are you feeling about that?
I think 7's quite a big number for dinner.
7 plus 1
And
plus
me,
you.
Seven
That's
plus
I
8.
one,
will
that's
be
8.
there.
What do you think's
yeah.
perfect? 6?
I think 4.
4.
So
Yeah.
who should we
I'm
ditch?
not. No, I disagree.
I lose control beyond 4 because it's rather like being a foreigner in a room and
Yeah.
everyone's going blah, blah, blah.
4 for me is like it's either 3 or 6. Because 4, you can sort of pair off. You can be paired off, sort of accidentally, with the least interesting person out of the
That's
4.
true, actually. No, 3 is a good number.
3's great.
Yeah, and maybe 5 is a good number too.
3 and 5.
So you don't get that awful pairing off and then
Yeah,
you're
the
stuck.
pairing off doesn't work, does it? You've been to some amazing dinner parties, so you would know. So you're saying you've now changed your sort of 5 is the number for you. You know what I'm saying?
I can't concentrate enough on big tables of people, and I don't know. I've lost that kind of social mobility that you can kind of know how to
And also ambient hearing.
hearing. Yeah, hello.
Yeah, that's because what I started to find before I stopped drinking was it wasn't only my speech that used to slur more than when I was younger because of things that I didn't have chemically that I used to have before.
What a spleen.
Yeah, so, stuff like that. But also my hearing used to go as
Yeah.
well the more I drank. I thought.
I don't think I wouldn't be able to go to any dinner party without drinking. I'm sorry.
Right, okay. Because bear that in mind,
We'll be
Tils.
drinking, yeah.
All right,
You're going to be teetotal.
by the way, I've got loads of great wines still that you can
Brilliant.
have.
Well, we'll come collect
by the
that.
way, people know that. They keep going around and ask, got any of that wine you don't drink anymore? Yeah, I don't think I haven't noticed. Would you go for... round tables are a no-no for me.
I think round tables are very bad. You're shouting across the round
They should be
table
banned.
miles away.
And
They
also,
should
you're
be.
sideways. You're
Yeah.
askance, aren't you?
Yeah, no, square tables and rectangular
What
tables are
about
the best.
what about oval tables? Don't mind that.
I don't mind oval tables. What
they've-
I hate, though, is low chairs.
No back
Your
support.
whole stomach is down like that, and then
Yeah.
you're kind of digesting for weeks in a bad way.
That's not good. That's not good. Just the headlines, right? Just from your gut. Great dinner parties you've been at in the past.
Well, I don't know where. I used to go to Donatella Versace gave very good dinner parties.
I mean, come on.
They were really
that's
good.
Why he's big. That's before he's really thought about it.
Yeah, no, but those were the only ones really.
But those were the only ones.
Just those.
Those are the ones I used to go to a lot, and they were always incredible.
All right. Well, hang on a minute. There's so many questions there, aren't there? What do you mean go to a lot? Where were they? How were they? How
Well,
come you?
because she had fashion shows all the time, and
Right.
I used to always go to her fashion shows.
Yes.
And then there would be like a big dinner afterwards,
Yes.
and a big party afterwards
Yes.
in her house, and everything went
Where
down.
was this?
Either in Paris at the Ritz,
Oh my gosh.
or in Milan
Yeah.
at her house, or in New York.
What period are we talking about?
We're talking about that
Mid-80s?
mid-90s really. 90s was where the money was really huge still.
Okay.
And people
So-
were splashing out.
Rupert's on to talk about the paperback edition of his book, The American No. And there are the Paris years in there. There's Paris stories in there. 1984, he spent some time in Paris. That's why I went for the 80s, because you mentioned it in your book. One of the phrases in your book is the parties, they used to go on for days and nights. Just give us a bit of that juice as much as you want. How long was the average party?
Well, it depends on the age. When I first got
84,
to Paris,
85.
84, 85, they were long. What would happen is you'd probably go out for dinner on a Friday night, and then you'd probably take it easy that first night and just go to someone's house till about 5
you
or
knew
6.
What was coming up.
And then you maybe crash there for a few hours.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday in Paris, there was this amazing Brazilian restaurant called Chez Guy, where you could go to at lunchtime on Saturday, and you stayed there till 10 at night. And then you went back to someone's house, and then you hit the club at about 1.
So you had a little chill out in between. It wasn't a disco night. You could have a kip if you wanted. You're allowed to sleep in these.
Yeah, you can sleep.
situations.
But there's a bit of sleeping at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then after the dinner and going back to someone's house, and you'd hit the club at about 1. You'd hit the after club at about 7. You'd leave the after club about 1 or 2 noon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Then you'd go and chill in somebody's house.
Yeah.
And that could go on. I mean, I knew some people who stayed a week.
Wow.
And
supplies were ordered and delivered.
Supplies came in, everyone came in, everyone came out, new blood came in, the party just continued with the curtains closed for days.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I couldn't do that now.
No, of course you couldn't. But you have done it,
I have done it, yeah.
And the thing is, once it's over, it's over. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. Once something's over it could be over for a year or a decade or a second. Over is over, isn't it? It's so interesting. Don't you think that's an interesting concept?
And the weird thing about it is you quite often ended up with the person, you'd suddenly wake up in bed 5 days later with someone you absolutely loathed.
Yeah.
And you had to kind of work backwards to see how you got there.
Yeah. Loathe all, as opposed to love all.
Yeah. So it, in the end, I think it was a laugh, but it was also... took a long time to get over.
Yeah.
And what I think about it all now, and this is okay in retrospect, is that I wasted quite a lot of time doing it. And I don't know quite, apart from the fun of being able to tell that kind of story, because it is funny, I don't know quite what necessarily I got from it.
Yeah. Well, it was your rainbow, and you wrote it.
It was my rainbow, but what I wish now, in a way, is that I'd spent more time working harder, because actually working is more fun, I think, than partying.
Also, if
in the
you
end.
have a fun job like we have, you can't the party's the job, and you can't out-party the fun, which is the job, and that's the mistake, isn't it? So you do something great, it's fun, it's so much fun, you go, right, let's go and celebrate that, but you can't out-celebrate the creativity, because there's nothing more fulfilling than being creative with your mates and coming up with something decent.
Yeah, and also it's not that easy. Our world is kind of effortless when it's green lights all the way, but it isn't green lights all the way. So there's a lot of time when it's red lights, and you have to maneuver and negotiate and use all your brain power to get through that traffic jam and hopefully get onto the next green light section. Yeah,
and your book is full of juice from this. There's fiction in there, there's a bit of diary in there, there's more autobiographical stuff in there. It's a great book, and I got to read it again yesterday.
I know, you're amazing, Chris.
And honestly, I got it on a PDF, because I don't know where my other copy... I read it when you first came in, you know that, and I read it again on PDF, and chills again. I cannot believe how good. It's so good, Rupert. It's so
Thank you so
good.
much.
The Bar Italia, the setup, the Little Italy, the Soho Square, your mate who became a Hare Krishna, quite quickly actually, just a year ago, he was a big shot in movies, and then he sort of fell out of favour. Just give us a bit of that. Just set up what is, first of all, is the American No?
The American No is a phrase coined by a producer, my great friend Robert Fox, and he coined the phrase. It's what happens when you go for a big meeting in Hollywood, and there's about 10 executives, and there's you being fabulous, décolleté, showing your all, trying to pitch your story, being thinking you're being very, very funny, they pretending perhaps that you're being very funny. Everyone's laughing and joking, and when you leave the room, some fabulous executive throws their arm around your shoulder and says, Rupert, you're exactly what we're looking for here at Bottomy Bay Productions. We want to be in the Rupert Everett business, all that stuff. And literally, you leave that place walking on air. The whole of the rest of the day is just heaven. And then you never hear another word. And that's the American No.
That is the American No. How many times approximately have you experienced the American No?
Well, You experience it not so much when you're very successful. When you're a bit less successful, you tend to experience it more, and you have to just get used to that. That's the way.
Or maybe when you're really successful, you don't notice it. It's happening, but you don't notice it.
Well, no, when you're really successful, they keep hold of you.
Right, okay.
When you're not so successful, the thing is that the trouble in show business, you have got to know when you've become a ghost.
Right.
Because otherwise, you're a ghost saying, "Hi, I've got this idea," and everyone's just looking straight through you.
Yeah.
So you've got to when you are a ghost, you have to be a ghost, and you have to jump out and say "boo" at exactly the right moment, or else you're.
Sorry. I must apologise for that.
Apologise for that.
Sorry, very relaxed.
Very
here.
sorry.
Apologise for that. Please don't do it again.
I won't do it again. Sorry.
I have to do all that. Where's Davina? Let's get Davina on the case. We got Davina.
Do we have a beeper?
Yeah, we do better than that. We got a Davina. Here we go.
Do I get a spanking?
Davina McCall. Here we go. Davina McCall. Let's call her off the bench. Here we go.
You are live on Virgin Radio. Please do not swear.
Do you remember she used to do that on Big Brother?
Yes.
We got her to do that for us. Clearly it doesn't work, but
it does
never mind.
work. I'm so sorry.
No, you're very welcome. It's okay. So the American No. Tell us about The Wrong Box.
The Wrong Box is my Paris story, and that is a story that is inspired from a real event, which was going to the funeral of a friend of mine that I'd known in the clubs. The thing about being in the club world is you have a lot of great friends, but you don't really know them.
Yeah.
Because you only know them in the thrum of the music and the high of whatever it is you're on.
Yeah.
And great friendships are made that are kind of like mirrors. They're just not. You don't really know who the people are. Anyway. This friend of mine in a club one Sunday morning suggested that I join him at his mother's funeral. I thought this is very odd, but we went back to his house and he carved out a little, and then we went to this amazing kind of funeral home in Neuilly, which is by the park, and it had tons of chapels rooms of repose where different funerals were setting off for different places, and we walked down this long passage. It was the drugs were kicking in, and we passed by this room with a little tiny coffin and lots of wailing people from Vietnam, I think they were, and we got to our own funeral, which was this rather grim kind of Brazilian funeral from the dictatorship period. So men and women with that weird kind of russet-dyed hair and big fat necks and no jokes. And we sat there at the funeral, and then we parked his car round the back. So we got into his car, and we thought all the coffins came out the back into the hearses, and we thought we were following our hearse to the cemetery, but in fact we were following another hearse to another part of the cemetery. We were following the Vietnamese hearse.
So right funeral, wrong burial.
Wrong burial,
Oh
and then we got to the burial, and we were. I mean, it's not a very good story really. We got to the burial, and we were kind of really at that point flying high.
Yep.
And we did notice that his mother's coffin had shrunk down to kind of baby size.
Yeah, and you didn't recognise anybody that was there.
We didn't recognise anybody. We thought they'd all changed.
And did you pitch that as a story?
I didn't pitch that as a story. I was making a film with John Schlesinger and Madonna, and we wanted to find a reason for Madonna being late for the funeral.
Right.
And I thought, well, why don't we just play, not in the drug way, but that we followed the wrong box to the wrong bit of which could happen.
100% could happen.
And he didn't like it anyway. So it was a pitch, yeah.
You've had a sad time recently, haven't you?
My mum died a week and a half ago.
Away.
Yeah.
And how are you now?
I'm fine. She was 91 years old. She'd struggled recently with dementia and various things, and so I think the last few months of her life weren't so much fun. She was beautifully looked after by some amazing ladies who lived near us, and so I was very lucky like that. I think she had a really, really comfortable, good end. When you're losing your marbles, there are moments when you get really, disturbed and distressed. So it's not easy. And the end wasn't easy for her. Palliative care is not for sissies. It's a really complicated, horrible thing, kind of drowning in morphine. Yeah. But anyway, she's gone now, and I feel that it was what she wanted, and I'm a believer of something. I'm not sure what, and I think she's radiant somewhere.
Good for you.
And she's met my dog, who also died earlier on this year, and I hope they're going on a walk.
So much has happened since we last met. You seem to be very busy now all of a sudden. Is that an all of a sudden thing or not?
Yes, all of a sudden, literally the month that my mum started to die,
Right.
I suddenly started hoovering up cameos.
How come?
I don't know.
Well, we said the time was ripe, and the time has always been right. But it's more ripe, and that's more important in the business, isn't it?
Yes, and so I've had some really lovely jobs, but so very weird. All around the time my mum's been on the way out. So I've been in Ireland. I was in Rivals, Jilly Cooper's Rivals.
I know. You ate it up, didn't you?
I love Rivals, and I loved Jilly Cooper. And I really thought, God, Jilly Cooper is someone, because you don't make friends so much when you're older. Do you find that? I mean, you've got your old friends, and otherwise you're quite happy on your own on the whole.
You're really happy on your own. It takes a lot to get you out of the house.
But meeting Jilly Cooper, I thought, God, this woman, I'd really like to try and be a bit friends with her, because she was an amazing woman and very, very kind of turned on, absolutely with it, humorous, sparkling, humble, everything. I mean, she was great and lives next door to Michael Foster.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Mr. Foster from Gloucester.
Mr. Foster from
He's
Gloucester.
been on this morning.
Has he?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So was she around much for the film?
She was around for the days that I was working there, and we had such a lovely time. And I went to her party, and when I went to her party, then I had dinner afterwards with Michael Foster from Gloucester.
Did you hear what the Queen said about her?
What?
So the Queen was at the Clifton Literary Festival at the weekend, and of course Gilly passed just before that. And the Queen will always be very good friends with her and a big admirer of her. And apparently she raised a glass to Gilly at the dinner at the Clifton Literature Festival. She raised the glass and she said, "Here's to my good friend Gilly, and I'll have her glass as well." so obviously she liked to drop a vino still.
I think she was a great character. And also, what was so interesting about her view of life, compared to our view of life now, is that sex just wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
In all its manifestations, it was something that intrigued her and she enjoyed. And when you start reading the stories about her snogging with Sean Connery when her husband had gone upstairs and stuff, you realise that this Rutshire world was a kind of freer. Well, it was after the 60s, I suppose. So the 70s.
And she was a girl of the 60s.
Yeah,
as well.
and she was a wonderful-looking woman too. Unusual, not
And
a beauty,
forever.
but a great-looking woman. And I think it's a good thing for us to study now in this day of ultra Puritanism.
And what about, because Rivals has caught fire, hasn't it? Because of that, do you think?
I think, well, the first season of Rivals was absolutely wonderful. It was beautifully made. It's a difficult era to do the 80s because it's so like now in one sense, but it's completely unlike now in every other sense.
Yeah.
And I think they made a really, really good job of it. And so season 2, I have come in and I'm hoping, keeping everything crossed, that season 3 is where my character could take off. So
Permission to take off? Clear for takeoff, no problem.
Yeah.
Full thrust. Here we go. Flaps up.
Exactly, flaps up.
What's going on with you and Julia?
Me and Julia Roberts. Oh, well, there's talk of My Best Friend's Wedding 2. For which I must say, if that happens, I really will have to go and have. I was reading about it today in the Times. The new the deep muscle facelift that costs only $700,000.
Really?
Yeah, but the Kardashian, Kris Jenner's had one.
Right.
I mean, she really does look like she's 17 now.
Right.
It's very, very weird.
Do you want to look
No,
like
I
that?
don't. All I would like, because I've got jowly.
Yeah.
I would like the jowl to go.
Yeah.
Because what you really need, the only thing you need as an actor, you don't need talent, you need a jaw.
Right.
Really, if you don't have a jaw.
Some actors need a jaw. Some actors are quite happy with the opposite, aren't they?
Well, I don't think they're that happy with it.
Well,
They'd rather have a
they
jaw.
do well with it.
Because the point about a jaw is then you've got a shadow, and then
Right.
you've got something in the image that is
Right.
the celluloid.
I used to get shaded, under the chin.
I used to too,
create-
but you see,
to
you
create
can't.
a shadow.
There's no point doing that now.
Especially
with
in the movies as well.
Yeah, and not with digital. You can't.
And so when we all hear about My Best Friend's Wedding 2, or whatever they're going to call it, or My Best Friend's Divorce, or whatever they're going to call it, or My Best Friend's Fifth Wedding and a
Facelift.
Funeral, or whatever they're going to call it, how do you hear about that? Do you hear about it the same as we do, or are there louder whispers from other places?
I heard about it the same as you do. Then, of course, you can't start making mad phone calls wondering if you're in.
Yeah.
And
Is that what you did?
Of course.
That is so funny.
Crazed, Morse code across the planet.
Right.
SOS, SOS. And, then you keep your fingers crossed, hoping for the best.
All right.
But you never know. Show business is a very difficult, tricky mistress.
Do you think that it comes to you when it's supposed to? Or do you think that that's just wishful thinking?
I think it comes to you, if you hold on, if you keep going, something happens.
Hold loose, though.
Hold loose and hold on.
Yeah.
But the point is,
don't hold tight.
No, but you have to keep trying. You have to keep trucking, and the thing is, also when you're older, it's very easy to get angry about it, and you can't. You've got to let it go.
Why would you?
Well, because it's frustrating.
No, I know, but from a strategic point of view, why would you do that?
Well, because you spend hours, months writing something. Mostly when you send it into somewhere, you never hear back.
Yeah, but what is getting frustrated? What good does that do? That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't do any good. But I mean, you have to be in capacity of your zenness for that.
Right.
And I think I am now.
I think you are. You've got. I mean, I've always loved you, Rupert. I loved you. I remember listening to your audiobook. I remember exactly where I was, in which bath I was in which house, and thinking, this is so good. This is your memoir. It's like, it was so good. It might be the best memoir I've ever read.
Really?
Oh gosh, yeah. God, it so trips along. And now you've been in here a couple of times, and you're always so generous with us, and everybody looks forward to you being here, and you're on Tilly's 7 best people in the world ever list.
That's unbelievable.
Which is great. How do you feel? You get up in the morning. You're clearly through the other side of any frustration, anxiety, anxiousness, bitterness, bittersweetness, turbulence. You're definitely out the other side of that. You seem very, very easy and nice to be around.
No, I think I'm okay. That obviously I'm putting my best foot forward in here.
But I don't think it doesn't feel like that.
I think
I can sort of smell that, if you don't mind me saying. No, I can.
No, I think I feel good. I still love working. These the 3 jobs I'd just done while my mum was dead, I really enjoyed. And because I hadn't worked much this year before, I suddenly realised how much fun it is preparing parts, like learning little dialects, and making sure you don't do the wrong part. I was playing a Northern Queen in a film in Ireland, and then I was rather butch in Rivals, and I thought, God, I hope I don't do the Northern Queen in front of Gilly Cooper. She'll fire me. So you have to keep it, and it's very good for your brain because you're forced out into groups of huge people. And then the other thing you realise, and the other thing I think is the most important, rehearsing a play now, it's sacred almost to me, because we're all so much in our own bubble now. Yeah. No one talks, everyone's on the phone. If you say hello to someone on the street, they just don't even reply.
That's interesting.
When you go to rehearsal, all you have is yourself and the other people. And so in the break, you swap anecdotes about your own life. You trust people, or you hate people, or you like them. But it's so important. This feeling of community is really, really important.
So when you said before about the fact that you hadn't wasted the 80s and the 90s, but you sort of look back, verging on regret, which I think is unhelpful, because, human beings are made of mistakes, and the more mistakes you made, the more things you tried out, hopefully, and hopefully that works in the end. I get what you're saying, and I hear you, because I have a very similar sort of journey, almost a mirror from a TV and radio point of view as opposed to a filmic and theatrical point of view. However, and this may be me just sort of, confirmation bias, when I see people who've had a very solid career, right? Good for them. I mean, absolutely good for them. And they're exemplars of their field. But I'm not as interested in talking to them as I am talking to you.
Right, but that's because we have that in common.
Yeah.
And also, there's no point anyway in regret, even though we have it. And I wouldn't rewrite anything. It's just when you get a bit older, you think, gosh, the brain, it's really all there is.
Yeah.
And the kind of destroying of the brain cells it seems like a different thing when you're older, because you're really trying to hold on to them. And I'd love to be kind of conscious.
The crossword helps.
Yeah, well, I can't do the crossword already.
Oh, well, we should have a chat about that. I can teach you. But the reason I said that then is because you alluded to the fact that you love learning parts now, because I love researching guests now, which I never used to do back in the day.
But it's also interesting.
It's really interesting, and it makes this bit. So I almost know your book off by heart, and it just makes the conversation better, because you can probably sense that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're diving into your job now like you weren't able to. It's not that you didn't choose to. you weren't able to do what you're doing now before. It's different for you.
Yeah, it's different. And anyway, when you're a young performer, you are the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, you have to believe in yourself
Yeah.
as the James Dean of your own cupboard. Type of thing. And that's the dream
And it
and the
works.
trip. And it works.
It works until it doesn't work.
It works up to a point. You throw the dice and it's snakes and ladders at that point.
Yeah.
But now, what's more fun is working at things and fine tuning things.
Yeah.
I like that because also show business now moves so fast.
Yeah.
You know, you do in the old days. You did films. You did 10, 12 takes of a little tiny close-up.
Mm-hmm.
Now you do 1, 2, and that's it, and you're moving on. So you really have to be on your toes. You can't eat lunch, for example.
Yeah.
If I eat lunch,
Why
I
would
just
you?
fall asleep
I know,
afterwards.
and all the juice goes to your tummy.
Yeah.
Do you think? What do you think about this as a theory? And it's only a theory, right? Do you think that we were too scared to give our best in case it wasn't any good, and therefore subconsciously we always had an excuse if things didn't work out? And now, because we don't fear that so much, we're happy to and intrigued to see how good things can be if we're involved in them.
No, I don't think that. I think we were brought up with the kind of notion of partying and ruining ourselves and destruction that was very glamorous. Judy Garland, James Dean, Montgomery Clift, car crashes. I was dying for a car crash when I was young.
Richard Harris.
Richard Harris, Richard Burton,
Peter
the
O'Toole.
Hellraisers.
Yeah.
You know, that's what one aspired to. So I don't think it was because you didn't feel good enough. I think you felt that you had to just stoke it all up.
Yeah.
And that kind of expression of yourself on the rampage
It was
was
living
what
the
someone
life.
was going to be lucky enough to capture on camera.
Yeah.
And it was true in a way. If you were really good enough, and if you weren't, you kind of it began to look odd.
It wouldn't pay off. Yeah. Wow.
But I think it was worth it, and I don't think it was to do with feeling, I'm not going to be good enough, or I'm not going to pull it off. I think you just felt that's what was meant to happen.
Yeah. This is the role.
This is the role.
It's 24/7.
And it was such fun.
Yeah, it's funny because Alice.
And you had camaraderie with all the other people. I remember
Doing the same thing.
Yeah, and also we all met the actors and the singers, and we were all at.
There was a togetherness about it,
There was
wasn't
a
there?
great togetherness of going out and being in.
That was a laugh, wasn't
Yeah.
it? That
The
was
80s
a big
was
laugh.
definitely a laugh.
You know, when I used to meet people in the various clubs that we both frequented, you know, you didn't know whether you were going to meet somebody out of Blur or somebody who's just finished a show in the West End or
Tom Jones. I
Yeah.
remember with being, you could meet everybody in those days,
Damien
and everybody
Hirst,
was going
yeah.
out too.
Everybody's having a right laugh.
Now nobody goes out anywhere.
You opened the book by talking about Bar Italian. You talk about Little Italy, and I didn't realise I've read it before, but it didn't jump out at me. But that's why you should always read and watch things more than once, because you see different things. Because you're a different person at a different time, reading or watching the same thing. I didn't know that you lived in a hotel.
Yeah, Hazlitt's.
I didn't know that. Because I stayed there a couple of times.
Oh, it was a lovely hotel.
Oh, it's great. The mattresses, the bedding was
love that
unbelievable. It
hotel.
was piled high, wasn't it? It's like,
The only thing you needed was a fan, because the conversations outside felt like they were in your bedrooms, and people would always be splitting up
what about
on
when they
Frith
emptied
Street.
the bottles into the skips?
Yeah.
That is the loudest noise I've ever heard in the world.
But if you had a fan that was going, you never heard any
And
of
there's
it.
a rhythm to it, and I hope you get to sleep. So, because I was reading your book yesterday again, and I thought, because Richard Harris famously lived in a hotel.
The Savoy.
Yeah, Elaine Stritch did. Do you remember her?
Yes.
So, same hotel. And they were both famous for living in this hotel. And then I thought, oh, wow. Yeah, I remember that was a thing. When you're aspiring to be someone, you've got to end up living in a hotel.
Yeah.
So you even did that bit.
Oh, yeah, no, and also I lived in a hotel in France, in Paris, for years, too.
How long did you live in Hazlitt for?
I lived in Hazlitt's for about 10 years.
That's so funny.
And I loved it. It was...
I bet you did.
Oh, it was heaven.
Because then I thought, I know I had a period. I lived in the... Listen to us two. To the old champagne idiots. I lived in the Berkeley for 6 weeks, so I did have a go. And they said if I lived there for another 6 weeks, you get residency status, and they drop the VAT.
Yeah.
Did you know about that?
I didn't, but I mean, it's all up for grabs if you stay there long enough. And also, what was nice about Hazlitt's and living there is I could go down to the kitchens, I could make myself sandwiches.
Yeah.
Everyone was so friendly there.
So it's Rupert Everett in residence.
Yeah, it was lovely. That was my favourite.
Anybody else living there at the time?
Jonathan Rhys-Myers was there a lot.
Right. But he's there a lot. You were living.
I was living there
So
mostly.
you didn't have any other digs?
In New York, I had a house, but here I didn't.
Can you imagine? And did you ever meet up with any other sort of hotel dwellers like Harris and like Elaine Stritch? And
No, I didn't, because that hotel, there's no bar or restaurant, so you're kind of in and out of that hotel.
it was like a house, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's
And
like
that's
a
the whole
house.
appeal of it, I suppose.
That was what was very nice about it. So you just had your key and you went in and you went out, and then there was Soho next to you, so you could go to any number of places.
Yeah, wow.
It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, I loved you for loving it, and it's all in the book. What else would you like people to know about the American No?
I'd like people to know about the American No that it's a really fun read, I think, and I'd also like people to know, I think they're great stories. I think they could still make great TV or film. I'm still hopeful. You know, when I wrote the stories, the thing about writing scripts is if they don't get made, that's it, they're done.
Yeah.
No one's going to read a script. So I had this kind of sudden thought when I was outside Bar Italia, I'll try and write them into stories, and then at least they'll have some kind of existence. So I feel really happy about that. I still feel, for example, the one called £10 Pom, I think that was my idea to make a Titanic for myself back in the day. I'm obviously too old for the role now, but I could direct it.
You could be the captain.
I could be the captain.
Yeah, good. You like a captain today.
Yes,
Very Das Boot, if you don't
No,
mind me
I
saying.
could be the captain.
Yeah. What about? Why don't you form a band and just call it Nirvana Conga?
Nirvana Conga. I couldn't form a band, no. I wouldn't
Okay,
have the
but
energy.
Nirvana Conga gets a mention. Conga to Nirvana. I can't
Conga
remember.
to Nirvana.
Conga to Nirvana.
Yeah.
The Harry Krishners.
Yeah, they're great, the Harry Krishners.
They're always
still
around.
going. They always turn heads.
Yeah,
the
we've
Harry
come and
Krishners.
gone, and they've stayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always
They
coming
mean
down
it.
Frith Street.
We would fly by nights. When do you think you're going to get the call from Juliet and the gang? When's that going to happen? If it's going to happen.
Well, it won't happen for a while because they've just done a deal with the writer. So the writer will write it. That'll take a year or so. So I should think if I'm going to get the call, you know, you never know. I might be out of it.
You can't be out of it.
I
You've got to
can't
be
be out
in
of
it. And so 3 big things in the last 6 months. How's the next 6 months looking? How's the next 12 months looking?
The next 6 months is I'm going to Brazil after my mum's funeral for a month. Me and my husband have a house there, so I'm going there, which is great. And then I'm going to be in Mel Gibson's film about the resurrection of the Christ, which I'm very excited
Where's that
about.
shooting?
Cinecittà in Rome.
How long's that?
I'm going to be there for roughly 2 months.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So you're back. You are back, aren't you?
Well, I'm not exactly back, but I'm doing
You're on
things
the
that
way.
I find very interesting. For example, Mel Gibson is a really good director.
Right.
His films are amazing, and I'm fascinated to see this whole process of him and, you know, these religious stories. I mean, they're not normally my type of thing.
What are you
but
watching at the moment?
I'm watching. I've been watching The Girlfriend with Robin Wright.
Right.
I've been watching Charlie Sheen's documentary.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Oh, you've got to watch it.
Yeah, everybody's talking about
It's
it.
really hysterical.
Oh my gosh.
And there's a lot of amazing home footage. And it was a thing that was very enlightening to me because, you know, you're still coming out of the wreckage of my aspiring Hollywood career in the 80s.
Yeah.
I never, you know, I thought, why didn't it work out?
Yeah.
But then when you see his documentary, it was a world that I couldn't fit into, really. It was another world. You know, the models were big men with kind of moustaches and hairy chests.
Yeah.
Tom Selleck was really the kind of man people liked.
Yeah.
And a big beanpole like me, looking like
floppy
a
hair.
mixture between Anne Frank and Snow White, was never really going to fit in. And so that documentary is wonderful.
All right. Mr. Scorsese starts on Friday as well. A documentary about Martin Scorsese, made by, what's his name's wife? He played Abraham Lincoln. Daniel Day-Lewis's wife has made a documentary series about Martin Scorsese, which apparently is amazing.
Oh, good.
There you
Lovely,
go.
good.
Rupert, great to see you, man.
Chris, thank you very much for having me.
I love having you in the studio. It's the best
No,
ever.
I love coming.
Oh, well, thank you. Rupert Everett has been with us today, and he's welcome at any time. The American No is out in paperback right now. That's it from us. We'll see you Thursday. Have a great Wednesday. Goodbye.